Now let's continue where we left off in the previous lesson, and this time we're going to give the users the ability to upload and change their profile photo. Back in the user dashboard component.html, we created an input file that accepts image and gave it a name to link with the label in here with the ID of file. The class upload is just so we can make it look pretty, and the change event in here will let Angular know when the user will try to upload something. And this is the syntax with the $sign for an event listener, and we need to create this function in our component. Let's go to our component.ts and start to create that function. Load photo URL, we'll take the event, and this won't return a value, so we're gonna use void. First, let's create a constant to store the file coming from the event, and here we return an array, and we're gonna get the first item from it. Now let's create a path where you're gonna store the photo. Let's put under users, the user ID. Let's add the photos folder and add it with the file name. This file name is coming from the file that we created in here. So let's create a if statement to check if it's an image. And if it's not an image, let's return alert. Only image allowed. And if it is an image, we need to target the upload task. And for that, we're going to use the Angular Fire 2 storage. Now let's add the Fire storage to our constructor. The private storage, and it's Angular Fire storage. It was imported in here, and just move it up so we keep it separate from the our app related stuff. So to create our upload, we need to store the upload task. So let's call it task, and it has a type of Angular Fire task. Let's go back to our function. Taking that the user upload an actual image, we're going to create the upload task in here. And here we're gonna pass the path and the file. When we're done, we're gonna get the task again, and you're gonna use the download URL, and you're gonna subscribe to it. Yeah. We're gonna get the result and say and update the user profile. Profile data. In here we need to pass the display name and the photo URL for this function to work. Get the user display name, and you're gonna pass this URL from the subscribe. If you don't pass the display name, it will return an error because we need both to use the Firebase update profile function. Now let's go ahead and try. Clicking here, I'll pass another image. And your profile has been updated. Now that we can change the user's photo, let's add some custom data. So far, our user class only has the information that comes from the Firebase user object. Let's add a few more information details. Now let's add the website, a bio, and location. And if you add the interrogation in front of the name, it will make it optional. With that done, now we can start to create a function that will save the data in our database. Here in the user dashboard component.ts, let's go ahead and create a function called update user and create a data object so we can pass to the user update from our user service. So website will be user website or null, and this is just so the user can update one or more items without causing the app to crash. Then we need to return our user service, and there we're going to create a update user data function, and we're going to pass the data to it. So let's go ahead and create this update user data in our user service. We're going to accept the data from the component with any type. Let's create a variable to store the user ID so Angular knows where to save it. Now let's return the Angular Firestore document with the user ID and pass the update and give it the data. Okay, now that's done. Let's just create a form where the users can input the data. Here in the editing mode, let's create another card and add some input fields. Another math card. And here we're going to create a form so we can update all the inputs together. We don't need the action. We're going to use the ng submit. We're going to pass that function we create. Inside, let's use a math form field. And here, let's add an input. We don't need the type. Going to add a math input from the Angular component. Let's give it a placeholder. And here in the dashboard, we're going to use a template-driven form from Angular. And to do that, we need to give it a name so Angular will know how to link the data. And we're also going to use the ng model to create that two-way data binding. And we pass the user.website in here. Now let's just copy and replace this with the location, and also this one with the view. Now let's check it in our website. Here you have the forms, but we don't have a button yet. And also let's change the view for a text area instead of a simple input. Text area. But a text area will cause our app to crash if you don't close the tag. It works differently from the normal input. If you save it, you can see that's gonna create an error. Unexpected character. So if you close it, now we don't have the error anymore. And we also have a text area in here. Let's add a button and we can test. ng submit. This ng submit will listen for the button submit event and we'll call our function in the dashboard. So now let's go ahead and test it. I will bring it up our Firebase database so we can check it in real time. This is my user. Let's add a website and a location. Let's try to save without a bio. And there we have it. And this is how you can add custom data to your user model. You first add it to your model, and then you can add anything you like in this function, which will then be passed to the user's update user data. And here you can add any type of information to your users, and it will safely store it for you. Before I finish this module, let's create a function for the back button. In our user dashboard component.ts, let's import location from Angular and add it to our constructor. Let's call it location and reference the location. And down here, let's create a method called goBack. This will take the location and use the back function within it. And in our user dashboard.html, let's create a click event on the button, which will then call the goBack function from our component. Okay, save it. Let's test it. And it works. Before we move on to the next module, let's commit our work to Git. We're in the users branch. Git status. Lots of modified items. Now let's add all and commit with a message. View and update. Okay, we won't be coming back to this module, so we can safely merge it into our development. So first, let's check out development. Switch to dev. Now let's use the git merge and pass a no fast forward flag. NoFF means no fast forward, which will create a merge commit, so you have a history of the user's branch. So as you can see, I got an error because I haven't set up my Git. So we can do that with the git config -- global core.editor, and then you pass an editor of your choosing. I'm going to use the Nano, that is the built-in editor for Linux. Now I can just use git commit and I'll have my editor. Here I'm just going to leave the same message here, merge branch user into development, and it's fine for me. I'm going to use Ctrl+X. Now we finish our user module. We've created a fully functional user backend where they can update and manage their data. In the next module, we're going to see how to create a blog and the CRUD application.